putting a price on something helps you help other people, right? And again, and this can feel backwards. And for a lot of years, I was just giving away stuff for free because it felt like I didn't want to put a barrier between myself and being able to help others. But the reality is that there's a missing step that we are cheating people of when we don't put a price on something. And there's different ways to look at this. So the first thing I want to speak to is when we buy a book, right? Which again is information free / cheap to replicate. Could this just be a website somewhere? Sure. Is there a lot of websites to get information on them? Absolutely. Am I reading those? No. I'm reading this because it helps me help the people I work with on the things that they're working with. And when I was making this purchase, standing in the bookstore, looking at it, thinking about it, I had to ask myself, was this worth my $18? And because it was, I was also in the process talking myself into why this is going to be useful for me to get through. Now, in contrast, I went to a local museum, and they just had these books they were giving away. Apparently, they had too many of them in the basement about the history of this town. Why not? I've never really cracked it open. Probably never going to. At no point did I have to engage myself, even internally, in kind of what you might think of as a sales process of deciding, is this worth my $0? I said, sure. Now already it's kind of clutter, which I'm not a big fan of. I'm pretty minimalist in general, but I know I'm actually going to read this because I had to engage myself with it. Now the same thing happens in just our conversations with people online. And a ton of people's time and energy gets sucked away into these huge wastes of time. And I'm going to fully just call what is a waste of time talking with people who are not going to listen to what you have to say. Now don't get twisted on thinking that this means that their thinking is right, or that what you're saying is wrong, or that something shouldn't change their thinking about it. None of that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they're not going to listen to you. Now, there's any given time a lot of confused people online. Why don't chemistry professors just go out there and argue with random strangers about covalent bonds and isotopes and compounds? And I'm clearly not a chemistry person. He's probably not using his words right. But it's because those people are not engaged with them as their trusted authority on it. They haven't put in the legwork to figure out, oh, you're a chemistry professor. I'm going to listen to what you have to do. I'm going to understand when you give me feedback that I'm here to work on my understanding because I trust your understanding of it. Without that student-teacher relationship established, just some stranger on the internet, right? And the same is true for there's things where I am consistently helping in significant ways a lot of people who they have put in the legwork to figure out. They know I've been doing this stuff for 20 years and helping people like them who have their current set of challenges get to the places they're trying to get to in terms of skill, ability, opportunity, positioning, network, etc. So they're trusting my input to help guide them because they've put that work in figuring out. When I just try splashing around in some random subreddit, in some argument on social media or whatever, to a lot of people, I'm just some person. And it's not on them to have done their legwork ahead of time to figure out that I'm not. To them, I'm just some voice, and they don't have a reason to trust me over any other voice. And this is, again, not doing them a favor to engage them in that situation because I'm not going to be able to break through. Long ago, I figured I can help influence hundreds, in some cases, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people's lives for the better if I'm working with people who actually want what it is I'm putting out there, who are not resistant from the outset, versus the chance I maybe probably might be able to occasionally force or push my way down, changing someone's mind who's not interested in hearing what I have to say, who doesn't already accept or agree that I am someone who's worth listening to. I do free calls sometimes to help people out. It's part I would try to give back to the community because I still have it in me. I want to give that back. I have had a lot of conversations for an hour where at the end of it, the person says, gosh, maybe I should have taken notes because they got a ton of feedback about their portfolio, their resume, their networking response angle, their professional positioning, their next steps, their current project, their selection of choices, their hurdles they're up against. Got a ton of information in that hour, did not write a darn thing down, and kind of were kicking themselves over it because, yeah, that was the 1 hour they were going to get out of me for free. Meanwhile, other people who are paying me hundreds of dollars an hour, who are writing top-selling books or who are running businesses or trying to start the companies, etc., they're taking notes. They're taking notes because they understand going into that call the value they're going to get out of it. And so they are proportionally getting more benefit out of it than somebody who falls right in one ear, right out the other, because they didn't take it very seriously, because they didn't have to engage with, is this worth paying for? And instead they look for, is this worth an hour of their time? Which they don't seem to have a lot of regard for either. We actually tend to hold in higher concern our money than our time, even though eventually you can earn money back, even at least technically or conceivably, you can never earn your time back. And so of the two, we should be more guarded of the latter. Now, the other thing that comes with this is that if you're trying to work with people who are at a higher level of experience, higher level of progress, higher level of seriousness about something, part of what you're going to find is for a lot of them, their time is valuable in a way of they don't want the free version of something, right? Any more than if I say, hey, I found this sandwich outside. Do you want it? Of course not, right? You want to know it was prepared correctly in a safe condition. You hopefully aren't in that situation, have to make that choice. But it's something where if there is a level of seriousness they want to go into it, they are looking for basically spending in a certain price range. And as I've alluded to, at least in kind of, I think, a kickoff video, if you are not finding a way to deliver in that price range, they're not seeing you, right? You're outside their periphery. They're not even considering you as an option. And this is true across the board for products, true across the board for learning materials, true across the board for video courses, etc. Amazon Prime's got some sales going, a lot of stuff steeply discounted, 35%, 50%, 80%. Now, some of y'all, I assume, understand what's going on in most of these cases. They're selling products that are already profitable at that 50, 80% profit cut, right, off of the sticker price. There's a huge built-in markup already. But they've priced it such that they know that once a year, twice a year, whatever, when they run these kind of steep sales, people would rather have the $600 vacuum cleaner when it cost only $200 than some other vacuum cleaner that normally and always costs $250. It's the shape of the world around us. And they have figured out that doing that sells enough of these units more because of how many more people actually want that higher end thing at the lower price. And this is also part of the thinking about when you're pricing stuff, when people, I know where they're coming from because I'm kind of shaped the same way. I like that transparency of just price stuff directly and make it simple and clear. But consistently, and I think the fashion industry had an old example of this, probably mentioned this in my audiobooks because the point that's consistently on my mind as a video course creator, etc. JCPenney at some point decided that they were just going to sell clothes at the price that they were selling their clothes at. They weren't going to do this constant shuffle of what's on sale, 85% off, everything must go half off this half of the store, yada, yada, that all the other fashion industry stuff was doing. And the stock price never recovered. Like, that was a big old stake through the heart of JCPenney's trying to do that maneuver. Because, again, people want the more expensive, marked up dress, shirt, jeans, whatever, at the discounted price more than they want something that's always that price. We see the same thing across the scene in video courses. For a while, Udemy tried to change their mechanisms. A lot of people had expensive courses that were constantly being sold on sale. They wanted to try to change to level that, and they dialed it back. They gave up on trying to do that. We see this all the time on Steam. There's a lot of games where people are only going to buy them when they're 85% off because they know that Steam is the kind of platform that's going to do that at some point. Now, the upside to this, too, is to recognize that when you're pricing something, you got to build enough margin that you're not at a loss or unable to sustain your business if it's sold on discount, but also to recognize the dynamic there of what it means is that there's someone who needs it at that discount. They know they'll get it when it's on sale, right? There will be these time periods. There'll be these Black Friday online sales, Prime Days, whatever. There'll be times you're doing a promotion for a holiday coming up or a new year or whatever. They'll grab it then. And that's okay. That means that they're going to get it at the price that they can get it at. Somebody else who feels a little more impatient about it, wants that immediate satisfaction, or they want it when it's a new release or whatever, they'll pay the extra premium for it. It's worth it to them. That's okay to have that kind of price stratification as a choice people can make and access the information that enables you to stay in business, to be producing more stuff that they're going to like. And one of the other reasons why this effect is so important is that, once again, when I talk about how I had to make a choice about am I actually going to read this or not, I actually have a gaming laptop here, and I could drag it out, but you don't need to see it, where it was a situation where somebody had so much money that the guy bought a laptop from a certain company because he was going to have a meeting with people from that company and wanted to be seen using their hardware. After that, he was basically ready to just toss it in the trash. He didn't need it. That's the level financially this person's at. To them, a few $1,000s, whatever. That's not my situation. May or may not be yours. But to this person, $18 doesn't move the needle, right? $2,000 barely moves the needle. So he just gave me his laptop because he was like, well, I'm not using it. So here, you seem like you'll know what to do with it. And I did. But it's something where that price stratification, again, where people who need it on sale can catch it on sale, they are going to be engaging with it in a way that for their situation, net worth, income, etc., may actually be more at a level of, are they actually still going to use it in proportion to what their other costs and things are. And this is a tough reality to live in which there's folks who got a lot, there's folks who do not have as much. And out of that, when your price is going to have these fluctuations, again, it can feel kind of weird, but it's a case where it allows people to have access to it at a discount who otherwise might not. So you don't have to worry about your pricing your way out of people's means. But that also, for those other people to whom a higher price actually does move the needle for them, gets them to actually engage with, am I really going to use this, versus just kind of toss it somewhere and it gathers dust, can increase the chance you're actually going to be getting material, programs, services, and stuff used by people. Had a client some years ago where he was paying me $300 an hour and would not schedule calls. He was actually paying for calls and not even scheduling them. And I'd be poking him, bugging him, giving him a hard time over like, hey, let's do this, right? That's why we're here, because I'm trying to get these results for this guy. I can't do it if he won't meet with me. But the person is so well off financially. Again, back to what moves the needle for him. $300 an hour for hours he wasn't even using. He didn't think twice about it. That we're all in different situations. Understanding that's one of the tricky things about navigating life, doing work where you're charging for stuff, but recognizing that, yeah, that's a very real effect going on. And that when you put a price on something, people actually engage with it and figure out, am I going to listen to this person? Am I going to use this material? Is this in the strata that I am looking to spin for my level of seriousness and respect for my own time and its value to me? One of the things to think about, right, is if someone's charging too little, it is, again, signaling in a bad way, right? And if I say I can give your kid lessons in programming for $1 an hour, you probably don't want those lessons. And then meanwhile, on the other side of this equation about people paying me to learn from me, as whether they are my consulting clients, whether they're students of mine or people I'm training, whichever one of these kind of models they fit under, it's a case where that also allows me to prioritize my time to what makes a difference for them versus getting sidetracked by a bunch of strangers whose confusion is not my problem, right? Fixing someone's confusion is work. Teaching is work. And when there's just some stranger in there who's full of confusion, that may be a problem. It is not my problem to solve. I have not accepted responsibility for it. But just as importantly, they have not given me a position in their minds to be receptive to my input or feedback or correction. So it's not on me to fix. I can spend my energy far more effectively helping improve the situation for people who are engaging with me at a professional level. Anyway, far more I want to say about it than I'm ever going to be able to fit into just one of these videos, so I can keep putting out these little experiments to gauge how people respond to different sections of it, including, again, there'll be other sections coming up about not just putting a price on something, but putting a suitably high price on something so you can actually sustain what you're doing. Another section about the difference between making stuff that's free versus sellable, what goes into that lens, that filter. But you know what, even I will quote to that point, because really just, again, putting a price on something. There's even this thing to think about, right? And it comes up in one of my audiobooks, but it's everything on the internet that's for free. Someone asked themselves, is this worth charging for? And the answer was no. Right? They considered, could this be paid output, and decided, no, it can't be. And that filter going on at every level is one of the reasons why people who really want to learn at a higher level, who really want to get other benefits, who really want entertainment that is better tested, sorted out, figured out, they're more likely to actually want to pay for something than just find the free stuff, right? Have that be the foundation of their thinking. Now, there is a difference between, this is part of where you might be like, Chris, this video is free. Yeah, but this video is pretty blatantly and directly connected to trying to get you to put your email address in feelbetterselling.com, because at some point you're going to be offering services, products, etc. that will be paid. That helps connect this to me having to engage with this from my side of asking, what can I deliver of high enough value in these videos to make my case for why you actually should do that? So again, it's connected into a paid process, which helps me elevate the level versus when I was just doing kind of thoughts, videos for myself for free, as opposed to videos for you, which comes down to what this is about. Now, again, more links I want to bring to this, but that's where you'll find out more of those by putting your email address in at feelbetterselling.com. That's it for today. Thanks so much for following along. I'll catch you another time. Bye for now.